There is no need to explain how important tactics and combinations are in chess. They are vital, they are unavoidable, and sooner or later you have to have tactics in every chess game that was played. Not all of them, not in all of them tactics were used, but tactics are used in your mind. When you go, when you make certain move, you anticipate certain tactics for you or for your opponent. And there are a lot of books that explain about tactics, and I saw like dozen books where it's explain tactics by the themes. For example, there is a theme on a pin, or there is a theme on a back rank mate. And there are a lot of examples. It's very helpful, it's very good that there is one thing only. What I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to find what, once you look at the chapter in the book and it says, oh, there is a back rank mate examples, and there come 20 or 30 of them, and you see this one, oh, there is a, immediately you're concentrating on a back rank. So there is, you get huge hint even before you try to find the combination, which you never get in the game when you play the game. Now I'm trying to explain how to find tactics when you don't know what the theme, what the combination, on what square, and why it should be there. Everything in tactics is logical, most of it. Sometimes it's the combination comes from just one move shot. It's just on without any logical preparation. But most of the combination, I would say 95%, they have logical explanation for them. So you have to analyze position in your head, and you see what is the weakness of the opponent, and what can I use, such as a pin. This pin is little suspicious, maybe I can take advantage of it. So it's very important to recognize these points. Very important for playing these tactics and for preventing it if it's against you. So always try to be analytical and see why this or that tactic should be there. I should search. You are not going to find 100% solution every time, because sometimes you see there is a weak point, and I think if I go there I can kill him, or I can find the winning combination, but sometimes it's very close and it's not there. So at least you know what direction to look for. But if you know what the theme is going to be, and for example, if they tell you there is mate in 3 here, anybody can find them very quick. But when you play the game, some top players missed very simple solutions. And why? Because they have to come to this conclusion by themselves. So it's very important to analyze position, which will help you a great deal in finding or preventing certain tactical certain combinations. It's going to be very useful to watch. Let's look at one of the games of true genius of attack of Mikhail Tal. This game was played in 1959. d4, knight f6 against Swedish players Sven Johannesson. c4, c6, knight c3, d5, knight f3, g6, bishop f4, bishop g7, e3. Very quiet opening, and see how quickly it becomes very sharp and tactical. Castle, bishop e2, c5, d takes c, queen a5. Now we have very well known position of Grunfeld defense where white has an extra move, bishop e2. Bishop supposed to be on f1. And the reason why, because black, instead of playing c7, c5, they played c6 first, and then they played c5. So white has an extra tempo in this position, and they castled. D takes c, bishop takes c4, queen takes c5, and knight to e5. After knight e5, knight bd7, white made here very interesting decision. Bishop takes f7, rook takes f7, knight takes f7, king takes f7. Well, either very strong player can give in this position two pieces for rook, or very weak. I don't think we had a very weak player here, both was because it was Mikhail Tal, and he played, so he practically envisioned that white can develop initiative where his black's pieces will not be able to overcome. And queen b3 check, king f8, rook ac1. You see how quickly rooks come into the play, and there are two open files, c and d, one for each rook. Rook a to c1, a6, rook f to d1, queen a5, and queen to c4. Well, how to develop now? Queen f5 was played here. After h3, knight e8. Black is trying to play knight df6 and develop finally light square bishop. After knight e8, knight d5 was played. And now the threat is, if knight d to f6 is knight b6 threat. So what black played queen e6 first, and after queen b4 they played b5. You see white's position, white's pieces are in overwhelmingly developed here, and there should be, its position is totally ripe for tactical shots. So rook c6 is coming, next move, and queen f7. Obviously, if queen takes c6, white wins quickly. They can win at least a queen by queen takes e7, king g8, queen takes e8 check, followed by knight e7 check. Queen takes e6 cannot be played in this position, so queen f7. And after queen f7, knight c7. And after knight takes c7, rook takes c7, black is totally paralyzed. And what was played here, queen e6 back. Rook d to c1. Now bishop on c8 is hanging. Knight b6 is forced. And now rook takes e7. And queen takes e7, bishop d6, simple combination. And now knight d5 was met by beautiful refutation. Rook takes e6, knight takes b4, and now bishop d6 check, winning the knight. And interestingly, white can win b4 knight and save e6 rook, because on king f7, rook e7 check and taking the knight on b4, and king g8 is the same because of rook e8 check, king f7, rook e7 check, followed by bishop takes b4. This is tremendous example and very, very instructive example of activity of the pieces and combinations based on this activity. So normally what white did there, white gave two minor pieces for knight and a bishop. It's almost never recommended. However, in that position, black never had a chance to complete their development and practically were swept off the board. Well, the game I want to show you now is very, very, very instructive also. And in my opinion, it's one of the best games played, one of the deepest game in attack played. It was played by Garry Kasparov, and Garry Kasparov was black in this position. What he played against Beliavsky, d4, knight f6, c4, g6, knight c3, d5, knight f3, bishop g7. That was very popular at that time variation of Grunfeld defense, and Beliavsky was had many powerful games won with this variation. Of course, queen b3, d takes c, queen takes c4, castle e4, knight a6, bishop e2, c5, d5, e6, and now bishop g5. E takes d. This was very well known to both players. E takes d, and in this position, instead of e takes d, which is one of the moves, knight takes d5 was played by Beliavsky. Bishop e6, castled long. Position is razor sharp, and it looks like white is threatening with potential e5. Black played bishop takes d5, rook takes d5, and queen b6. And that was home preparation by Beliavsky, and I'm sure Kasparov was prepared for it as well. Bishop takes f6, queen takes f6, e5, queen f5, bishop d3, queen c8, and rook d1. Now, let's talk about this position. This position is very sharp because white has beautifully placed pieces, and also they threaten to develop instant attack on the king side. But black has potentially very strong bishop, so if the diagonal opens somehow, bishop will be very powerful. And also they have possibilities for attack on their own. So b5 was played. Actually, obviously queen takes b5 will be met by knight c7. Queen h4 was played. Knight b4. And bishop takes g6. Very interesting tactical shot. I cannot be 100% sure, but I think it was still part of the opening preparation. F takes g, and now rook d7. Now white, which was Beliavsky, has only one pawn for a piece, for a knight, but threatening knight g5, very powerful threat, and on h6 maybe even rook takes g7. Threatening, the main threat of course is queen e7 with inevitable mate, and black is totally in defensive. Queen e8 was played by Kasparov, and I suspect this could have been all home preparation. In either case, I think it's one of the most powerful games I have ever seen. And Queen e8 was a lot deeper move that I could even suspect when I was looking at this game. Queen e8, just defending the mating threat, and after rook e7, it still looks like on queen c6, rook d7 is coming. And looks like this is it. Looks like black is in a lot of trouble. But of course this was anticipated by Kasparov, and now series of very powerful tactical shots. First one, bishop h6 check. Obviously queen cannot take bishop because rook is hanging. And you see how black's seemingly passive pieces become overwhelming pieces in very few moves. King b1, rook d8. All of a sudden we see on rook takes queen, there will be checkmate on the other side of the board. So queen is untouchable. So what after rook d8, rook d6 was played. And now queen c6 move, another powerful move. For the same reason, rook cannot take the queen. And if queen takes the bishop, then white gets mated after queen e4 check. All of a sudden, black's mating threats become very, very real and very difficult to overcome them. After queen c6, a3 was played, and rook takes d6, ed, and queen takes d6. And after a takes b, c takes b, white is helpless here. Because what happens here, black is threatening queen d1 check, followed by b3 check, and white's king is in a lot of trouble. Meanwhile, bishop is still untouchable because rook is hanging, and here white is totally lost. Queen e4 was played, b3, threatening queen d1 mate, and after knight d4, simply rook f4, attacking queen, attacking knight, queen a8 check, bishop f8, and white has no defense. Knight is hanging, king is in a lot of trouble. They don't even have simple check in this position. White resigned. That's a very, very powerful attack, practically from nowhere, practically from the position where it seems like you have to be in total defense and you have to survive somehow, maybe even by giving material not to get mated. All of a sudden, this powerful attack emerged from nowhere.